vibe coding isn't enough with AWS Hero Brian Hough. Hey everyone, how are we doing this evening? Hold on. All right, back to the conversation. Shala, I'm sorry, swords,
What?
MMA, what is happening? What's going on in the background?
I had a lot of energy and aggression as a kid, as a youngin. And so anyways, my dad was a black belt. So he put me in martial arts.
Mhm.
I was with the other females. Apparently I hit too hard and people complained and they put me
I
with
could
the
see
boys
that.
team in
Yeah, no, I could see
MMA and that worked out perfectly. So yes, I used to be part of a demo team with weapons and junk like that. So ta-da.
You and I have a much more similar background. We have to talk about this offline. This is I need to hear all about this. Brian, hi, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So for the folks that are watching, right when we realized that we had to go live, I was asking Shala about the swords in the back, and then she dropped some bombs, and we're like, "I'm sorry," and I couldn't let that go. So I had to get a little bit of clarification before we continued.
Understandable. No.
Brian, welcome to V Brown Bag. You are an AWS hero. We are very excited to. So you and I were having a conversation. You graciously came by the house and dropped off a little care package as I was convalescing from my surgery, and you said that you had this talk about vibe coding, and as we all know, vibe coding is a very hot topic right now. And the lead for it was why vibe coding isn't enough, and we've all been playing with it, and we've all got some questions about it and everything. So, who are you, and why should we listen to you about vibe coding, Brian?
What a great question. We're just jumping in today, aren't we, Chris? I love it.
I mean, this is the getting to know you phase. The audience, you haven't been on before, so we all are dying to know who you are. Tell us more about you.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on the V Brown Bag. I'm super excited. So my name is Brian Hough. Why would someone want to listen to this talk? I'll give a little bit of a background about how I got into tech because Chris, as I've told you, I kind of got into this industry very much by accident. Because I was never supposed to actually become a software engineer. I went to school for public relations and communication. I was thinking like, I'm going to do the marketing thing. I'm good at graphic design. Like I'm creative. I can create campaigns. Like I can think about that type of stuff. So I graduated. I had done like a data analytics course, like the senior before I graduated college. So I was like interested in the data analytics stuff, but I was like, what is this Python? What is data? What is this stuff? And it was always very complicated to me. So I was working in public relations and I saw a hackathon just like over the weekend. And I'm just like, okay, like, let me just join this. Like, this seems cool. And it was like the moment where everything changed, where I was like, these people are dialed. They're shipping apps in 24 hours. Like they can code from their laptops. I was like the moment where I was like, in the Matrix, it's like, you could take the red pill and like do this, whatever. So that was like the one moment where I was just like, I need to jump into this. So the pandemic hit, unfortunately, and I saw someone that I met at the hackathon and he was like, and this was literally publicly. So he was like, I want to do something to like help during this awful pandemic situation. Like who around me can work on this? And I was like, I messaged him. I was like, bro, like I have legitimately no skills in this. But like, maybe I can do design stuff. Maybe I can help you with something. Like, I want to help. I want to do something because this is an awful time, right? So we end up building this like hundreds Discord server. We were talking to like people at Meta, AWS, Walmart, Labs, like all these crazy companies, MongoDB. We were like building with Lambda. We're using Go. We're using blockchain. It was a wild time. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do anything that's impactful in this world, it's going to be with software because you can just do something and then have impact with like hundreds or thousands or millions of people. And there's no other industry that you can really do that this easily, I think. So, so one thing led to another. I ended up like leaving PR, jumped right into tech. And the reason why this is important is because I learned software engineering. A lot of people think very quickly. It was like 4 years to like really get in the sense of like working in big tech, but like I was dialed, I was hooked, I was really about it. And I got to learn a lot of stuff. Then AI comes in And then I find myself like unlearning a lot of stuff that I had learned. So you sort of are like, you learn the things to get you where you need to go. But then I was using AI as this like supercharged tutor to be like, well,
Hmm.
actually, you could do this more efficiently. Oh, you actually should probably do it like this. So I've been now doing this for like the past couple of years of using these like super powered brains to take my development skills and just like 10x stuff. Why that's also relevant is because the AI makes things so easy that you think like, oh yeah, prompt deploy, prompt deploy. And then if you actually do that, there's a lot of problems that can come down the road. So it's kind of like you get excited about AI and then you're like, okay, chasm of, or what is it? It's the chasm of descent or whatever it's called, where like, or the valley of descent. I think.
Valley of Despair, the chasm of disillusionment, or something like that.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. So in and around this, I founded a company, which is Tech Stack Playbook. That's your classic software agency. And over the past 4 years, I've been able to really dive into a lot of different code bases, see a lot of patterns, and a lot of where our business now is focused with me and my team is actually productionizing vibe coded applications. So a lot of companies are moving really quickly, which like totally get that. But then they'll have like kind of like some junky AI code and they're like, we don't have time to ship it. We don't have time to productionize it, or we're having issues getting the specific pattern to work. So then we can come in and help build that. So I kind of come from like army of one to now like a team of people. And now we're building way faster. I'm learning way more because of AI, but also a lot of our business now is like because of AI of like, it's cool. It can get you so far, but to actually productionize this for like thousands or millions of people, you're not going to be able to do that on like a $20 subscription. So I've been hacking around and building
what you're saying is part of your business model is to take vibe coded slop that somebody has like in an enterprise has created and cleaning it up and making it pretty enough to actually be like accepting of PII and credit card numbers.
Well, and the thing that's funny is like a lot of this stuff is like you have to take the vibe coded stuff and then do it correctly.
This is amazing.
Using stuff like Terraform, using AWS, which we use a lot, even using like Azure or like a Google Cloud. Like it doesn't really matter the cloud, but what matters is how you deploy it. So like SOC 2 is super important to think about, like HIPAA super important, and like a lot of these vibe coded platforms, like they don't support those things. So you need to know how to architect those patterns in a way that makes sense.
Fascinating.
So,
yeah.
Sorry, I was just looking at my Perplexity chat from last night.
Oh no.
One of my prompts is, bro, this did not work.
I feel that to my soul.
Was that when you were trying to fix the meat grinder, Damien?
No. That was last night. I was trying to do write a bash script that does a bunch of OpenStack CLI commands, and I was having the Cloud Brain do the heavy lifting for me because I was enjoying an adult beverage. But yeah, I was like, I wonder how off the rails this got last night. Yeah, bro, this did not work. Did make me laugh. So I apologize for the.
No, perfectly fine. Shala, what you said that you've been playing around with it recently. What kind of vibe coding trouble have you been getting yourself into?
Yeah, so matter of fact, as I was racing to get on here, I had to peel myself away from the computer because I've been using Windsurf. That is my weapon of choice these days.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. I tend to have like different results with AI, I've noticed, compared to a lot of people. I guess just how I interact with it or whatever. But anyways, what I'm liking about it is it does help me learn even quicker versus having to try to go find tutorials or ask a teammate or try to go read some book, which I suck at reading documents. Honestly, like it puts me to sleep. I'm a visual person. Troubles I run into, yeah, there's tons of times where I'm like, hey man, that didn't work. Like I actually named my my windsurf coder just today. Its name is Kai. And I was like, Kai, listen. We're going down. We're going down. And it stands for knowledge AI. And so it's going down a loophole where things are just breaking, not working, and all that kind of stuff. It's I am very thankful for the knowledge I do have because just today I trained it where it's like, hey, before you start editing files, because they'll just go gun-ho about it, I'm like, hey, tell me what you're thinking about proposing to do. Walk me through it. And then before you edit any file, you ask me, am I ready for you to edit the file? And so we got a good little working relationship right now that's going really well. But yeah, there's some stuff once it starts walking through its proposed edits, from the knowledge I have, I'm just like, bro, that's not going to work. And I'll tell it and I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. And they'll be like, you know what? You are absolutely correct. You have a sharp eye, blah, 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 blah. So yeah.
Yeah, flattery will get you nowhere, Clanker. Which I guess is a slur now. So who knows?
Oh, Neil Tropolis just said that they miss us on Twitter. That's really sweet.
I
Thanks,
miss
Neil.
Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I miss old Twitter too. So,
Old
and
Twitter was
yes,
nice.
yes, Shubba, we do read the comments. So be nice and respectful. Obey the code of conduct, please. So, Brian, why don't we get into it? Because if you are taking AI slop and turning it into enterprise level presentable stuff, then I am very excited to see this, see what you got. Do you know how to present on StreamYard?
That's gonna be a great test of my abilities. Let's find out.
Okay, at the bottom there's like a little plus sign. Click on that, and you can either share your screen totally, or you can share like a image file or a video file. I'm assuming you want to share your screen.
Ooh, yes. Let me see. Actually, I'm gonna share it on a different window.
So speaking of vibe coding and putting it into production, there was some thread I was reading. Maybe it was Blue Sky. I don't remember where it was from, but anyways, this guy had like been vibe coding with the production database, and I think the Replit AI wiped the database and was lying to him about it, and
and then said he couldn't restore it when he could. There were snapshots, and it denied that their snapshots existed. Yeah, like if they had listened to it, it would have deleted like 9 days of or like the entire production database. It was amazing.
So I guess that's like probably step one when you know of his presentation is probably like, don't hook it up to prod and then let it make changes.
No, like why?
I don't know, man.
I don't even want to touch pride, let alone AI.
Yeah,
what's funny
some
is
folks are a little bit cooked in the skull, I think, with this AI stuff.
Well, as we've all three of us have been around the. Brian went somewhere. I don't know where he's at, but we all have been around the block. Oh, okay, he's back. We've all been around the block, and we've seen the comings and goings of not only different generations, but different like silver bullet tech stacks. So like virtualization, containerization, the cloud, when the cloud came out. So I think the intersection of the latest generation of people coming into the industry and the rocket speed advent of AI has got a lot of new people in tech going, oh, okay, well, I'll just hook AI up to everything without talking to like the old farts like us to like, you know, tell them the war stories of why you should never do that. Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot more of those kinds of stories before we like get some really decent guardrails. I mean, MCPs are a good start, but they're nowhere near what I would say is trustworthy enough to hook my bank account up to. That's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing I was going to say too, it's also interesting, they're calling it a epidemic or whatever, or a crisis that's happening globally, where people are not socializing with other people, they're socializing with AI.
I saw that. Yeah, kids are spending more time, especially it's super unfortunate, but kids that are like in not great home situations,
Yeah.
they're confiding in their AI therapist as opposed to like talking to a real adult that can give them like actual real good advice.
Yep.
Ugh.
And I've seen some really ugly stuff, like the AI like telling them to kill themselves or hurt other people.
What?
Like, yes, I've seen a few reports of just like insanity. Yeah. I don't know if I should have even said those words on YouTube. We might need to bleep that in post.
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it in post. I think the word is unalive now. I don't know.
Oh yes, whatever.
Yeah. All right, Brian, are you back, or are are you okay, bud?
Oh yeah, I was just fixing a light. trying to make sure that a light stays on. It's the home
Sounds
setups,
like a hardware
you know?
problem.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just a software person. Like,
Did you hook it up to
can't
Alexa
expect too much of
and you
me.
accidentally turned off the entire house? Alexa, turn off all your lights. Oh no, what? Cool. Okay. Well, let's get into it. Why isn't vibe coding enough, Brian?
Yes. Why isn't it? Such the question. So, and I want to also preface this of like, I'm learning a lot of stuff every day. So I don't want to come across as like some guru or some expert. But I just want to share a lot of the things that
agree to disagree. You're an AWS hero. I'm gonna put my cards in. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's like I was very skeptical of AI when it first came out, and I was very like, oh, why would I need like an LLM? Because like I've spent years doing these things, and the one thing that I've learned is that if you're overly confident about something, you're probably wrong, and that stems into so many different areas. So that's kind of where it's like, whether it's coding or like fitness or life or business or finance, whatever, it's usually like if you're overly confident about something, you probably are missing a like very big aha moment. And that could be using AI, but it also could be over reliance on AI. So I just want to talk about like, I love using AI. Like I use AI in my workflows every day, but you have to be super skeptical of like specifically like how you use it and how reliant you are on it. So I just wanted to just preface that with AI is cool, but we're going to be skeptical of it. So my name is Brian Hough, as I'm sure you all know, and this is on Why Vibe Coding Isn't Enough. So I just want to walk us through kind of like your classic, typical vibe coding an app, right? So for this, this was actually based off of a talk that I gave a couple months ago. And I had actually built this with a tool called bolt.new. So I was like vibe coding right in the browser. And if you're not familiar with bolt.new, it's kind of like your classic prompt, and then it will do like coding stuff. And then you'll be able to like click deploy, and then you'll get the app live. So I wanted to build an app to let me talk with my documents. So I asked it, can you help me build that? So it was thinking for a little bit, and then it came up with this. And I was like, oh, cool, drop zone. This is Next.js TypeScript. This is like all the code that I would want. Has some placeholders for some cool stuff. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But I want to see a list of my documents. I want to now start getting more into like database management. So it says, yeah. So it gave a placeholder of like where you could start storing documents, and you could implement a database if you wanted to, but I was just kind of mocking this up for now. So then I was thinking, okay, I want to see conversations. So conversations is interesting because if you've ever worked with chats, you have to sort of create like partition keys or do like a sort key that can track like the user with the conversation. And then you have a list of messages, but then those messages are tagged of like, it's you versus them. If you have like many people in a chat, then it's like you versus other people that can also be in that same conversation, but someone needs to be added to the list of participants to be in that chat to see it. If you remove somebody from a chat, like that's where you can get really down the rabbit hole of conversational, like database modeling, which is like, that's a talk within a talk, not given by me, by somebody else. But I sort of wanted to think like, how can I have conversations with my documents, right? So it's going to start thinking for a little bit. And then now you get some chat history. So now this is going to start. And obviously this was like very simplified because it's literally just me talking to an AI. So it's very simple. Like only the user that's logged in is going to be talking to the document, and it's going to be able to track those much easier than needing to do like auth for other people associated with the common conversation. So then we're like, okay, I want to add some authentication and authorization. How do we do that? So it's going to start thinking for a little bit, and then we have a login screen. And again, like it's only one person logged in and like for your session. We don't need to worry about like you interacting with other people. So the auth is simple and the authorization is simple. But then I'm thinking like, okay, can we visualize this a little bit? Can we have an analytics dashboard? So starts thinking a little bit more, and then we have that. And as you start to prompt and vibe code, it becomes so easy because you're like, oh my goodness, this would have taken days, weeks to be able to learn these libraries, learn these frameworks. It's just there and it works. And it's like, it's kind of cool, a little spooky, but I'd say more cool than spooky. And then I'm like, okay, this is like the last question. I want to start selling this. I mean, I wasn't really going to, but like, I want to sell this app tomorrow. I want to go to millions of people, launch on Product Hunt, do like indiehacker.com. Like I want to like go viral. Can you make me a cool landing page to sell this product? So it can go and do that. It can make landing pages. Like it can make sales funnels. It can make all the stuff that you want. So then you start thinking like, okay, my vibe coded app is ready for prime time. I'm ready to get users integrated with Stripe, or Lemon Squeezy or whatever your PayPal, whatever your payment provider is, except you're not. And you wouldn't know this unless you actually dove into the code that it made and you understand exactly what it did. And this is super, super important because there are so many problems with these apps if you don't actually know how it built it. And a lot of these platforms, you sort of get like some vendor lock-in where it kind of does it in like a behind the scenes curtain. So you don't actually get to see some of the packages. You don't get to see some of the code. There's certain things that might be withheld. So then you don't really know like, oh, is this using the latest version of this? How did you actually like build and deploy this code? How, like if this reached 1 million people, like what would happen? There's not a lot of that understanding. And from a very important security perspective, zero trust architecture is an enterprise must. In secure dependencies, you need to know if it's using code with vulnerabilities. And you're going to see that there's actually quite a lot of vulnerabilities that can come if you don't do NPM audit and you actually understand like what the app is building. DDoS and bot attacks, these are on the rise, and especially being able to like manipulate an app and like if you have an LLM, being able to like get access to the agent behind the scenes. Rate limiting and span monitoring, like these are things that you need to make sure your app has. RBAC, which is role-based access control, granular permissions, being like we just talked about, being able to make sure if you have a conversation, you couldn't like manipulate it so that you could get access to other people's conversations. Because if you're having conversation with private documents, like I should not be able to get Shala's documents or Chris's documents or Damien's documents, and they shouldn't be able to get mine. So there's a lot of these problems that can come up if you don't actually know how they built it. And one of the biggest ones on a payment side is denial of wallet. So this is where like, if you don't rate limit or limit what your users can do, you might just have people that are like using your app as their LLM of choice. Because if it's not really being tracked, there goes their $20 subscription to some other LLM. They're now using yours. And if you have a free plan, well, now they're just going to be racking up tokens. They're going to be racking up, your bill. And you're going to be like, oh my goodness, why is my bill like $1,000? And these all sound like crazy stories. But if you go on any social media platform and you look up vibe coding or like vibe coding problem, there's so many posts of people that were like, oh, my app was taken down, or like, oh, this didn't work, or something like that. So you really got to think about like these problems because they're really important. They might not be important if you have just like 100 users, but let's say you spike overnight and then you have like thousands of people. Well, then now you actually have a problem because you have to prepare for scale before you actually have it. So that's like the catch-22. So the $1 million question we have to ask is, are we prepared for 1 million users? And the answer needs to be yes. And I feel like I always try to inspire people and encourage people to think like maximum viable entity, like not like minimum viable product, like maximum viable product. If you were to have an app that was shipped to like 1 million people, that'd be amazing. So like you should think about that. Like you should think about like, if I built this app, it could have 1 million users. That'd be amazing. That'd be super cool. You want to prepare for something like that. So we'll kind of skip the intro because I kind of gave a little bit of a briefer on me, but my company, Tech Stack Playbook, I started that literally from ground zero during the pandemic. When I was learning how to code. And I've seen a lot of things over the last 4 years as someone that became a self-taught engineer to now leading a team of people that are building software at the enterprise level, especially in big tech. There's so many reasons why you shouldn't be vibe coding your apps and shipping them to production. You could use AI, but the actual granular understandings that you're going to need to build software, you really do need to know what you're coding, or you need to know what your AI built so that you can course correct and make sure before it goes live. So we're going to do 4 kind of breakthrough things here. So we're going to talk about the era of vibe coding. We're going to then shift development left. We're going to build a real Gen AI app, and then we're going to have a production playbook by the end of this so that you can build your own production ready apps. So it's going to be super functional. We're going to talk about like, ooh, AI, but then we're going to be like, AI, and we're going to know how to handle it. All right, cool. So let's enter the era of vibe coding. So I'm sure you all know what vibe coding is. Vibe coding is prompt deploy, iteratively until you basically get the app that you want. So you might be like checking your tokens of like, oh, I'm going to like 0-shot prompt my stuff again and again and again and again. And then it's like, oh, my app is done. That's kind of like what I did with Talk with Docs. Now, what are the common tools? So invisible infrastructure, generative coding tools, plug and play backends, and no code, low code builders. So the invisible infra is like, I don't want to think about the techie stuff, just like build me the stuff that I want, the building blocks. So I think of like Railway, Render, Netlify, Vercel kind of giving you like the common, I need to get this on a server, or I need to get this on the web. Generative coding tools, I want AI to help write the hard stuff. So I think about like Kiro, Cursor, Windsurf. Shala, you said you were using Windsurf earlier. Yep. So like these are really powerful if you know how to use them. Because I'm sure like you find like you can just like whatever you can engineer, you now have like 100x levels to be able to like build quickly. Plug and play backend. So I need a certain feature like auth or database or functions. So I think of like Supabase, Convex, Xano. Those are kind of like ways that you can like integrate tooling into your apps. And then the no code, low code builders, those are like kind of the fun ones. That's like, I want to literally prompt and like have it build my stuff. So Bolt.new, Replit, Lovable, like these are all tools that I have experimented with. And I'm also like, I'm not endorsing like any of these tools. These are just ones that I've experienced and enjoyed using to certain extents, just in the sense of like testing. There's just a lot of these cool tools. And I feel like I encourage anybody to try out what they do because it's interesting and you might be able to like build products really quickly. Now,
and they're fun to play with.
Right? They are fun to play with.
Yeah, they're super fun.
Hey, Chris, you've got a voice changer on. Do you know that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I was like, who is
there
that?
we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, it's off now. It just randomly turns on now. The random voice randomly turns on, and I hate it. I'm gonna uninstall that software now.
I had heard a laugh earlier, and I was like, "Where did that come
Me
from?"
too. But I was like, I think Chris is just being Chris, and I didn't mention anything.
Hold on, I'm gonna do the fill. Ready?
I love
that is
sound.
Damien's favorite sound effect.
Chris, don't uninstall
That's
it.
nostalgia. It makes it fun.
As we go completely off the rails. Welcome to V Brown Bag, everybody.
No, that's great. We've got changing voices. We've got vibes. It's a time.
I love it.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So vibe coding pipeline, we're prompting and we're deploying. Now, this is like super simple, right? Now, there's a concept that I learned at a security conference. If you're not familiar with Reinforce, it's AWS's Enterprise Cybersecurity Conference. So I got to attend that last year. And what was really interesting, because I was giving a talk also at the conference, and I was talking to some of the other people that were also giving talks. And there was this concept that was very pervasive of like shifting security left, you got to get security earlier in the process. So I was really thinking about that with AI, and I was like, wait, we should be shifting development left. So instead of it like being prompt deploy, we have all of these steps. So you prompt, you scan your code, making sure that it's basically safe. You then build, maybe you're building with AI, you automate a lot of these processes. So when it builds, you know that it's building deterministically and not like randomly. You can review, so like preview URLs, being able to like see code before it ships live, staging environments, all that stuff, and then deploy. So there's a lot of these steps to come like before you actually get this in the hands of users. Now, how do we productionize the vibes? So we've got all your usual suspects. So auth, API, files, AI. Like I'm sure anyone that's like watching this like probably understands like these are the concepts that you're going to think about for an app. Now, AI abstracts a lot of these things. So you really need to think about these 8 things. They're really important and they seem super fundamental, but as AI abstracts, you really need to think about like, how is it managing my database? How is it managing the files? How is it managing authentication and authorization? Like my server, is it burstable? Is it a serverless way? Like if it reaches a certain threshold, will it basically like conk out? There's a lot of like those things to think about. Now with the low level architecture, right? We went high level, now we're going low level. These are the AWS services that are going to do a lot of these processes. So Cognito for auth, AppSync for API gateway if you want to do some sort of streaming off of a URL, S3 for storage, Bedrock for AI. It's cool. You can get access to like 30 plus models. There's also CloudFront for hosting, ECR, which is how you manage your container. You build your code, you store it in ECR. You can then deploy it to EKS, which is Kubernetes, DynamoDB for database, and Amazon OpenSearch Service. So this is quite a mouthful, but these are kind of the AWS friendlies, where if you want to do things in a production level way, you're going to want to do like this type of pattern. Now,
You know what? I just want to say props to you for digging through AWS's logos
Yeah.
and finding all the right logos, because that is a giant pain in the behind.
Oh my goodness, they changed the DynamoDB logo like
Actually,
low key last year. I
super
was like,
not.
what?
Because we have access to the PowerPoint slide that they have with all of the things. It's like a 200-page long PowerPoint slide with all of the icons. So Damien, if you need them, I got your back.
Well, I could have used them before, but now I know where I can find them. Thank you, Chris.
I got you, buddy.
I was just digging through the zip file like a savage.
I'll take care of you.
Chris, when the icons change, I'm going to hit you up as well so that I make sure that I stay up to date as well. So
Absolutely.
I'll make a group chat.
I will be the font of PowerPoint slides.
I love that. That's great. Okay, cool. So these are the services that we've got. Now, what are the ways in which we're going to build our stuff? So there's really these main components. So there's 6 of them. So Python for the backend stuff, TypeScript for your app, which is more front end, GraphQL API, Docker, super important to know how that works. I feel like my software engineering skills like really leveled up when I started seeing how Docker works with Kubernetes. Just like super important skill, just in the sense of like what are the jobs, like what are people hiring for, like understanding like infrastructure as code as well with CDK or Terraform or serverless framework. Like basically these are super important for cloud, and then these are super important for like developments of servers and apps. So highly recommend that stack. Now the question we have to ask is our app secure? The answer to that question is probably no if you buy it. So I want to show like
no.
Definitely no. And I really want to show this because this isn't like, oh, like this is marketing speak. This is a real thing. I took the screenshots. I have the receipts to show this. So we're going to look at like the front end. So I did deploy this with bolt.new, and bolt.new is great. It's just like, I do want to show like real problems that can happen. So if you download basically like the app that it makes, right, you're going to get in like a zip folder. So you unzip it, you're going to get your Next.js application. I had it in Next.js. So something you can do with NPM is you can do NPM audit. That will tell you basically NPM's like security scan. And it's like it's a pretty comprehensive scan that anyone should run before they build and then deploy an app. So there were actually 6 vulnerabilities in this, one of which was critical, one of which is high, and 4 is moderate. And you think like, oh, those don't really matter. But the thing that's really important with vulnerabilities is that if there's something that's critical or something that's high, chances are the code expands to other areas. So that 1 critical might become 2 critical, might become 3 critical down the road. And if you are shipping apps that have critical vulnerabilities or high vulnerabilities, like that's not good. And there's ways where like the hacker people can like go into your app and like kind of surveillance it and test a bunch of stuff and be like, oh, they probably are on this version. Like this is the attack pattern to do this. And this is like a real thing you have to think about. So what do we do with this? This is like, oh my goodness, what did this AI make me, right? I mean, you could ship this live, but like you shouldn't. Like, why would you do that? So I found that you can use Amazon Q. And this is not like marketing. This is actually a great use case, I think, of Amazon Q, despite a lot of other things. This is a really great use case because I feel like AI, people are trying to throw in AI everywhere, but this is a very slick implementation of AI that I think will help a lot of people. So literally what I did, I copied the package.json, and there's like a little dot. You can just like, it's an extension. And I just said, send to prompt. So like right down there. What it ended up doing was thinking, and then it updated all of these packages. And I'm like not even joking, like it was like magic, because usually when you try to do like npm upgrade, you'll like npm upgrade something and then it'll be like, oh yes, but like now this is like not in sync, or like you can't update this because this package is in alignment, it depends on this thing. And if you've ever had to do this, it's so frustrating and it's wild. So this was able to just do that. And then I was able to take 6 vulnerabilities and turn it down to 0. And this is like a real thing that happened. This wasn't like, oh, I'm like playing around and like photoshopping it. Like this is a great use case, I think, for that type of AI. Super baseline.
Nothing,
like it's
nothing
really
up my sleeves.
Yeah. No, nothing up the sleeves. This is just like a really simple way to just make sure before you build your code that like it's on the latest stuff. Okay. So now, is our infrastructure scalable to build and deploy? So now we're going to focus on the backend stuff. So CDK is a really great way to build. I think on AWS, it's native to the cloud that AWS, like all the services. It's usually like when AWS releases services or feature updates, CDK is usually like one of the fastest to like adopt that. Also, Terraform is really great too. I don't cover Terraform in this talk, but I use Terraform and CDK like
you don't have to butter me up. This is a third-party agnostic podcast.
Terraform is
yeah, I almost
so
feel like
great.
this
What
is
can I say?
sponsored by HashiCorp and AWS.
No, like I would say like 70, like 60% of my workloads probably are like, it might be like 50-50 Terraform versus CDK, because it kind of depends on like how are you building like the different types of apps. But and then serverless framework maybe for like a 20%. So
awesome.
That's kind of like what we do. But yeah, so you're gonna CDK init, and this was creating the app for the backend. So I was making the server the part that you're gonna actually talk to your docs with, and this is how you activate the virtual environment, and then you're gonna pip install all the requirements and all the code for this. There's a QR code at the end of this talk, so we'll be able to talk through all of that. But don't worry, you don't need to like take lots of notes. But this is sort of what CDK will bootstrap for you. And these are kind of like the main components of the app, but mainly the app entry point is what you care about. And then where you basically make the stack definitions, that's going to go in there. So when you're building and deploying CDK, you CDK bootstrap to your AWS environment. You're going to synthesize the formation template, the cloud formation template, and then you're going to deploy it. Now, this is basically the app. The user is going to talk to an app, and the app is going to talk to the server. Now, if you're actually productionizing this is really like what you want to have. You want to have like multiple availability zones. You want to have multiple Kubernetes clusters. You want to be able to have a lot of these like elastic load balancing, EKS deployments, like EKS talks to EKS within the same VPC. This is sort of your securitized pattern for building. And this is the thing where like, how do we know that it's secure? If you're building something like this, this is how you know. If it's building it in the cloud, you don't really know like what's happening. So how do we build this app? So we're going to build our app. We're going to use I use GitHub, which like you probably like could use. So you could automate this process. You could also run this locally, but you just need a Docker file, and you're basically going to like build your app. It's going to create sort of an output, and then you push that to ECR. So ECR is where you're going to basically like hold the bundle of your container for this app. So once you push that there, then you're going to start building out your Kubernetes stack. So this is where we're going to be able to like define this. I'm not going to get like too much into the code, but that's where you would like define your availability zones, making sure that it's distributed across different AZs just for resiliency purposes. And then you could set a default capacity, and then you just lock it down within a VPC. Now you have your app deployment and your load balancer. So we're going to do some IAM role configurations. There's a lot of IAM components that come in here. And this is where, like zero trust architecture of like this service can talk to this service, but like nothing else can talk to it. And that's like really important in the sense of security, because you don't want like your app to also be consumed by something else. So there's a lot of Kubernetes things that are like in this, but just the IAM with EKS is super important. So now when we deploy, we're going to deploy our EKS stack, and then that's what's going to do this. So it's going to basically create 2 different availability zones with node groups, with Kubernetes pods, NAT gateways in there, and then elastic load balancing around the app. Now we need a content distribution network. This is important because you need SSL termination, global distribution, WAF integrations, and DDoS protections. This is kind of like, it's not just like an add-on in a lot of these like vibe coded things, like you actually need to understand like what does the WAF do? What does the DDoS protections do? Because a lot of these like platforms will say like, oh, we have bot protection. But like, what does that actually mean? Like, does that mean like if like a bot just tries and it's like, oh, I tried once, like I'm out of here. Like if you are like actively getting like pelted, like you need to sort of understand like how resilient is the security. So super easy to add with basically like your CDK stack. So you could create your CloudFront stack in that stack of definitions in the folder, and then you just deploy that. And that's what it looks like. So when you deploy it, it looks like this. Then you take the output of this, you put that into CloudFront because it needs the EKS deployment to be able to then put CloudFront around it. And it looks like this. So then you would sort of have this CloudFront around your stack so that users could interact with this going downstream into what it needs to get. Now to deploy the server, this is where we're going to use Python server. So Fast API, we're going to be Dockerizing it again, but this is going to be a different Docker bundle. We then do this. So we deploy with the EKS server stack. That's going to create, again, the same type of availability zones for the app, but now you have a server. So now the app can talk to the server. So we already had deployed this. This is new. And now because the app is connected to EKS within the same VPC, now one Kubernetes cluster can talk to the same Kubernetes cluster, all within the same environment. So that's like the secure way to lock stuff down. And then securitizing and logging and auditing, super important. A lot of these are like, they can get expensive if you like are using those add-ins from other platforms. So it's very inexpensive to store data in the cloud, but this is more like you need to make sure you're doing it in this way. So when you have an audit trail, when you have actions in the cloud, CloudWatch, for example, like you could have CloudWatch alarms. There's a lot of compliance reports that you might need to create, have immutable logging. These are things that just won't come with vibe coded apps. But if you're doing like a finance app, you're going to need to have auditable data. And like, if you can't prove that you have that, or you don't have SOC compliance, or if you're doing health, like HIPAA compliance, then like you need to make sure that you're doing that. So that's where like the cloud offers a lot of those services by default, which is great. And then you just need to integrate it. So let's say that your user is talking to the API, it's getting like a conversation or something like that. You could also log that in CloudWatch. You could log that in, like you could see actions in CloudTrail. Then you could also see things logged in EventBridge. So you sort of can have like 3 different flavors of visibility around what's happening in your application, specific to what people are doing in your cloud or people are doing like within an app deployed in your cloud environment. So super important. And then for containerized RAG, this was literally the process of like you're talking with the document. So user authenticates, hits the API. You're then getting access to the Kubernetes server. You get some DynamoDB data. We're going to use Bedrock, which is Bedrock knowledge base. And then you could use, that's hitting vectors and OpenSearch. So very similar to the CDK stack, we're going to be deploying these things. Again, this is like a snippet of like a lot of the code, but it's just easy to like talk with an AI. And I was literally like, I also want to emphasize, like I was able to literally talk to an AI and be like, I'm trying to deploy this CloudFormation template or like this CDK stack. I think I need to do this. Can you help me with this? Or like, I'm getting this error. And that's something that you could do like in your LLM of choice, like in your code editor AI of choice. But I want to emphasize that like this makes this very much possible. But like eons ago, like you would have needed to like have in-depth knowledge of like CDK and like CloudFormation, and it would have just been like impossible feeling. But now with AI, like you can also feed documentation into it. The AWS MCP server is really good too, because you could like prompt your AI with that, and then it can scroll over all the AWS docs and context. So there's a lot of stuff here. But you need to do the OpenSearch stack, and then you deploy the Amazon Bedrock knowledge base stack. It's like 1, 2. So then if you want to sync the knowledge base, the user is going to be basically hitting documents. There'll be an event bridge to be able to then have that upload process happen. And then that's going to sync the vectors around the knowledge base with OpenSearch. So you could do this a number of different patterns, but like with Lambda, it's just easy to have an ingestion job. And then it would just be able to sync your vectors super easily. So another super important thing, uploads that are malware free. So if a user just uploads a PDF or a photo, like is like, what does that mean? Like you're just like storing it in blob storage, right? So not quite. So this is really important if you're building like a social media application. If you were able to just upload malware ridden files and then think like, this doesn't really impact stuff if you have like single user stuff, but if you have a lot of users that could reference files in different patterns or download them, then like if a user uploaded something with malware in it, if other users download that same thing, now they're all infected. So think like if you have a social media account and like there's a lot of users that follow this person, and then that person reshares a post that has like malware in it, and then it downloads in your browser, it downloads like in the cloud in the back end, and then it renders it for your user, something like that. Now those users could be infected with something. So that's where you really need to think about this process of like uploading files. Like, how are you actually tracking that? Another thing that's actually important with AI is like, if you have RAG and then you upload a document, and like, let's say that you upload something with like bad stuff in it, and then other people might search across that document. Like, you need to make sure that like it's also siloed per user. But like if you had like a centralized file storage for like different users, and then you ask it something, if you have like a parser script, or you have like something that can like download the file in a server, that could also cause issues. So just have to be cognizant of that. So how do we fix that?
Is that a so I thought that when you uploaded a file to like a RAG repository that was then put into a vector database, are you saying that malware code can then somehow infect the existing system, or infect the user, like at the end of the social media thing? What's the pattern there of infection?
Yeah. I worked on a social media platform that got acquired a couple years ago, and this was actually something that was like super important. Was like, this is not related to RAG. This is like totally separate. But think like if you uploaded a file that like was bad, right? And let's say that that's like appended to think like LinkedIn, for example. Like you uploaded like a file. So let's say that in the sense of when like certain metadata might be extracted from that file, it might be downloaded in the back end server, like when it's processed. So if you have like a vibe coded app, it's going to be processing that file to some extent, but like you don't exactly know like what's happening with that file. Like the vibe coded people have to like figure that out. But if you have your own platform and a user uploads a file for like a post, but let's say that post like file is bad, right? If that downloads into your browser to some extent, then like if other people were to see that post, it might download something to your browser. It might download like somebody else sees it, retweets it, and it shares it. So
I misunderstood. Why, I thought you were saying that something that you were adding to the RAG could then somehow through querying the LLM later, after the RAG had been put into the vector database, it could like then infect something. I misunderstood your statement. Never mind.
Oh no, sure, no.
I was like, wow, that's really bad then. If that could actually happen.
I mean, even in the RAG context too, like making sure that things are siloed to the specific user. If you had a way to just upload files and like you knew that the data silos were open, you could like, I mean, I'm just making this up, but like you could do like a post request, send a file, and like have it go into like, I'm more thinking like an organization. Like let's say that, I don't know, like company A has like a tenant and they have like 10 users. If you knew the company A's UID or something like that, you could like upload a file into their knowledge base. And then maybe if they were asking questions of like, tell me what my latest documents are, not necessarily like infecting those users, but like the AI might like read that file, and then it's it could have like weird stuff in it. It's kind of like prompt pollution, if you've ever like heard about that as like a vulnerability. So there's just different attack vectors, and that's why like you need to make sure that the data is siloed to the user or to the tenant, and no one else can get access to that unless they're authenticated. But yeah, there's like some like crazy stuff that can happen. But yeah, so authenticated user uploading a file, that's going to hit S3. This doesn't necessarily need to be Lambda. This could just be like the EKS server endpoint. But you're going to get a pre-signed URL back. That file can then be approved to go into S3. However, we're now going to use malware scanning. So this is guard duty malware protection for S3. This is going to tell us, hey, this file is safe. This actually runs like in, I want to say like maybe a second or less. Like it's very, very fast. So you would just like poll a database to be like, hey, like, is the file safe? So this could upload, like this could update a database object for the upload, then be like, hey, it's safe, cool. Otherwise, if it's not, it's going to be quarantined, and then it's going to go into the quarantine bucket. Otherwise, it'd be in the production bucket. And then you could also do logging around those types of things. So this is like super important because like you need to make sure that the files are safe. Otherwise, that's bad. Which I'm sure you already know, but it's like important to think about, like you need a service that's doing that. And then tracking your users. How are you tracking how they use stuff? So do they have unfederated access to your services? Hopefully not, because if they do, then you're going to have a whole bunch of this. So a user or a bunch of users can now start using your app. And then now you're their LLM of choice. We kind of talked about that earlier. And they're going to ring up a huge bill for you. And that's not going to be cool. And your accountant or you or whoever you talk about money with, they're not going to be happy that you now have to spend like $5,000 on requests and you don't know where they came from. It's going to be bad. So how do we fix that?
Cursor is living that in real time. Running
It's
a giant
not good.
bills for Claude and Chat GPT.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of them are like trying to figure out pricing models around this. And it's hard to get pricing models around these expensive tech.
Right.
And that's kind of where like, again, I'm not a SaaS expert, but it's hard to monetize LLM applications because of that very thing. It's like, how do you give valuable access to something for your service to someone without it ringing up a huge bill? So there's a couple ways that you can and should track this with tokens and then with rate limits. So these are ways where like you track like one token is like about 4 characters. You just do parsing over or like basically like extracting the text and finding out like how many tokens it was, update the database, or just do rate limiting of like a user hit this up to 100 times. Now they use this 100 times for the day and now they like are rate limited or something like that. So it's easy to implement something like this, but it's super important just to make sure that people just can't start using your services indefinitely. Yeah, and then just automating the process. Amazon Q, super cool way to do PR reviews. So if a user commits something to Git, now Amazon Q can assume access to look at the repo and give updates. So this is what it looks like. So you grant access to Amazon Q developer, then it's going to like make really helpful code edits. And this is actually something that I use on a lot of client projects, just like this, because it's really helpful to also have just like AI make comments of like your code. Sometimes they're a little bit verbose, but I feel like I'd want to have verbose comments as opposed to like nothing where it's like, looks good to me, and then like is bad. So none of that. So that's where like Amazon Q developers like another really great use case, not to just throw AI in there, but like actually has a functional use case. So what does this mean?
You know, the downside of that, of a lot of the AI, like pull request reviews and stuff, since I work in a company that has a ton of GitHub repos, there's just so much noise coming from, what do we use? Bitto? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, right? But it's just like one PR is like a whole bunch of nonsense, right? It's like, how do you even pay attention to this at scale, right? Like it's just
So true.
over here just jabbering about changes. So yeah, I agree with you that it can be helpful, but it can also be overwhelming, you know? Like, especially if you're following a repo, like, holy crap. There's so much extra noise.
It can be. And sometimes you just need to like have it like go really quickly. And that's where I think it's like the whole like building fast versus building safe. That those kind of are on like opposite sides of like the spectrum. You sort of need to think like, how do I meet in the middle? Like, what can I compromise on? So it depends. Like sometimes it even just to have the notes to refer back to, it will flag stuff that's actually like bad. Like you can even like make it where like if you like release keys or something like that, like it could prevent you from pushing that to production. So like you could have like restrictions in place, like GitHub Action or something like that just to prevent it. But you know, just like the critical stuff. So to sum up, what does this mean? So our app looks kind of the same as like what it did that was vibe coded. It's just everything checks out now. And, you know, we've got the security dependencies. We know this. We can validate. We have zero trust architecture. Only certain things can talk to certain things. Authentication authorization, we have that. Denial of wallet, we talked about how to stop that. We have logging, malware scanning. We have role-based access control and granular permissions for auth. Rate limits and spam are limited. DDoS protections are in place. And our app is looking pretty good. So these are the 10 steps that I would recommend if you're going to build an app and ship it to real users. Like make sure that you have these things. So AI code reviews for sure. That's like an easy one to just implement with like an add-on. Automated code scanning, again, we saw that with like the extension with Amazon Q for VS Code. file upload protections, API protections, rate limits and token tracking, authentication, authorization, data being siloed to the user. This is super important for any enterprise app, logging and observability, securitized resource groups with IAM, and automated AI and data pipelines. So these 10 steps are like your golden Bible for like being able to build like production ready apps. And this is the QR code to get access to the code from this talk. So if anyone wants to like scan that, and this is gonna be recorded, so you'd be able to like still scan it and pause it and scan it. That might be a little bit easier. But yeah, this will just walk through all of that. So you'll get the Next.js app, the Python server, and all the CDK code of how to deploy this, and also some implementations with the CI/CD pipelines. So
We'll even put it in the show notes, so they don't even have to like wait to the end. They can just go like immediately. You know,
I'll take care
love
of
it.
Absolutely.
All right, even better, even better. But yeah, that was my my kind of like walkthrough of productionizing apps with AI, and that's my QR code for LinkedIn for anyone that wants to connect on LinkedIn and be friends on the digital webs.
Nice. So
Nice.
the checklist that you just ran through is very comprehensive, and I love it. I mean, it rings true to like my enterprise architectural background, like of all the things and considerations that you need to go through. Are you so you're this is what you do for your business. This is the thing that you go into companies and run them through as your day-to-day, right?
Yes, but like I also feel like I do a lot of this stuff also just like for fun to like experiment. Like, oh, thanks, Daniel. Glad you thought it was cool. I was like, the pop-up came up. I was like, oh, that's cool.
There's a ton of people saying this is awesome stuff. And
nice.
There was also this one, Brian, which
I'm dizzy. Same. I'm dizzy as well. Oh, think about me presenting this. I'm dizzy.
When I saw that, I was like, yep, same.
I just unplugged the light, so I too am having hardware problems. So
the light, they'll get you. That's story of my life.
I uncrossed my legs and pulled the light out of the wall. So
oh no, I know that feeling. But yeah, so Chris, so like yes, I do this like for like work, but I really like this type of stuff just to like experiment and learn. Like I do like stuff like because we follow each other on social media, like I do make a lot of content, and like I do like just like putting stuff out on YouTube or sharing guides of this type of stuff, because like when I was learning how to code, a lot of this stuff was very daunting. A lot of this stuff was very intimidating, and I feel like the more people that understand security, the more people will be able to build like real apps. Because think about like if you were able to build something that was really valuable for people, but like you made like an egregious error, like your app might not be able to like be viable and stay online. So like if you knew stuff, it's like what's the knowledge you wish you knew before that? That's kind of like where I like sharing that online and with people.
Well, there was a guy. There was a kid that designed something, and he got up to 100,000 ARR like within like 3 days of vibe coding it. But then he said it out loud on social media, so that attracted all of the hackers, and they compromised his backend database. They exposed all of his API keys, which he had hard coded into his environment.
Yeah,
So he was just on the cusp of like making a ton of money. And then everybody just like, because he did exactly what the first quarter of your talk was, and then he didn't do the last 3 quarters of it. So he got totally tanked, and it was unfortunate to see, because I mean people were willing to spend money on it, so it was a good idea. Well,
yeah.
It was an idea people were willing to spend money on it. Whether or not it was a good idea is arbitrary. But
so yeah, those two things are separate.
As soon as I said it, I was like, no, that's not true, because people spend a lot of money on really dumb stuff. So Brian, by you ostensibly giving away the secret sauce in this talk, are you worried that somebody's going to come take your lunch, or is there so much work out there in this that this is like the next 20 years of what you see yourself doing is unscrewing AI slop from enterprises and helping people get to the next level?
Yeah, so I will tell you this, and this is something that as a self-taught engineer, like I think I can still stand on 2 feet and say this. The amount of like gatekeeping that I see in the industry, first of all, doesn't help anyone, and second of all, like if you and I always think about this because like this also goes into like my ethos of how I think about things is like if you're trying to hide something like from other people so that they don't know it, you should know like 20 stories higher than that knowledge. And I feel like that's something where like as I've gotten progressively more and more knowledge of like how tech works, I originally was literally not even building anything. I had to learn like what TypeScript was and what's JavaScript and all this stuff. But then it's like you learn that there's Kubernetes, there's Docker, there's infrastructure as code. So now there's like Terraform, CDK, serverless frameworks, SAM, Amplify. And then there's like all nuances of like how do certain services work? How do you do authentication that's with email, with this? There's so many things to build in tech that like if you're trying to gatekeep stuff, you probably don't know enough. And that's something where like I honestly try to check myself of like, do I know enough? And that's why I like sharing things, because it will also reinforce to me like, do I know enough to build it? Do I know enough to explain it? What are those people going to ask questions of? Those are the types of things that like I should be learning. So like in a sense, like I'm happy to give away the knowledge and the insights, but I think there will be a lot of people that will like not listen to this. So that's kind of where I'm like, if I could help you solve like $100,000 mistake or like a $250,000 mistake,
right?
Well, that's great. And also like maybe like I might want to hear more about like what you're building. Like I'd rather hear that like you built it and you did the security stuff and you use like knowledge from the internet, because that's literally how I learned. I made some of my best friends in tech when I was learning how to code, and I just had people that would be like, hey, like people that are like big tech, like Fang Mang level people. That would just, I would just be like, hey, like, I'm really struggling with something. Like, can you help me? And like, there were people that were like, not everybody responds, but there's like nice people that respond. And a lot of those are like our friends. And, and that's where it's like, you don't know the impact that you can have on someone. So I always think about that of like, why gatekeep when you could like empower someone's life or someone's company or someone's livelihood? Cause like, that's literally how I got into tech, through being helped. So it's like, if you're gatekeeping, you probably don't know enough things. But also, like, why are you doing that? Because you could also impact someone. So that a little preachy, but that's like a lot of my ethos of how I think about stuff.
Dude, that's how V Brown Bag got started. We all rise by lifting others. So that is the ethos of what we do. And I wasn't meaning it from the gatekeeping perspective. I just meant it from the opportunity perspective of do you see yourself is the landscape of what you see is the amount of work that's going to come down the pipe in the future. Is it now going to be a lot more of this and a lot less of, I guess, classical infrastructure building?
Yeah. I mean, I still feel like you're going to have to know how to build stuff kind of like even take like communication, right? Like you used to need to like, you do like quill and pen, and then you do typewriter. I mean, I'm skipping a lot of steps, but it's kind of like now
there's a picture in there
smoke
somewhere.
Signals, and then there was the.
But then it's like, and then you sort of like think like, oh, like we could send like a telegraph. Okay, cool. Well, now we can do like internet at some point, right? And now we can do digital. But like the act of communicating has not changed. The methods and the medium in which you do that change. And I had a really great conversation with one of my colleagues in New York about like a month ago, and I was like on the last day of the New York Summit, and we're on like a rooftop, and we're talking about this, about like what are we doing to basically keep our jobs, our livelihoods. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, tech is probably going to change a huge amount. And you just think about it of like the person that invented fire, and I always say this, people are like, oh, that's interesting. The person that invented fire probably hates the person that made like the lighter, where you think just like this big lighter that you can just like wield fire in your pocket. They probably hate each other. It's probably the fire person hates the other person more. But it's like, if you think about it, where like innovation is very disruptive and it just comes like that. So you have to be agile. And that's something where I'm thinking about like a lot of where I think I built my career in was like, give me your toughest tickets. Like I want stuff that like there were teams of people that were like, I don't know how to do this, or like we struggled with this, and like we need like serious help. And I'm like, okay. And it's like going to the gym. It's like there is always a way to get stronger. There's always new weight to lift. And that's where I feel like with tech, the methodologies will change, but there will always be a need to build something. Because it's like, if there isn't a need to build anything, then like we're in trouble. Because that means like we've solved all the problems in the world, which like will never happen, or like no one's building anything. You know what I mean? Like it's the impossible problem. So I feel like there will always be a need to build things, and there needs to be people that like are excited to do it, but to not be discouraged about AI, because I think AI is causing a lot of like FUD just with like being like, oh, AI is able to do everything. And then you talk to like real engineers, like think about the apps that you use like every day, like Uber, Airbnb, like I don't know, Lyft, like Gmail, Outlook. Like, yes, those engineers are like probably using AI to some extent, but they're not like putting it on a $20 subscription. It's like, oh, like the Gmail server is failing for like fetching new inbox for like millions of people. Fix it. That's not happening.
You have a gun held to your head. You must fix this Gmail issue right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel your subscription if you don't code it. Like, what? No, like that's not happening. Even with a lot of the infrastructure as code stuff of like you want to implement a new service. Well, like what if the AI like doesn't know it? Then like you're gonna need to be human, hands on keyboard, and like maybe work with an AI to like prompt it of what to do. But like the act of building will not go away. And that's where like a lot of like I talk to a lot of people, and like I also have a program called Profit with Cloud, and like I like mentor a lot of people like in that of like here's how to build apps, here's how to build stuff. And like it's cool seeing people go from like I didn't know how to code to like I built something, and like I understand the process and I know how to build it. And I love that. Like I love seeing that, and I want that to be more apparent. And I'm hoping that like people don't get discouraged from AI of like, oh, I shouldn't learn how to code because AI is going to do it. Because it's like, they're also selling you something too. Like they're selling you a product. The marketing is very strong, but like you have to sort of take, and I used to work in public relations marketing. I know this, like you have to think about how many billions of dollars are being sent out to like convince people that AI is like, you know, viable entity. Right. And it is, but like, you have to separate the marketing advertising from like the reality. And the reality is you can use AI, but it's not like
it's literally, you know, Altman's job and Musk's job to be a hype machine so that the sweet money can keep flowing in. I mean,
it's true.
The part that I don't understand is how do you have a multi-billion-dollar valuation on a company that's got an ARR of $100 million and a monthly burn of $200 million? It's like the math isn't mathing. So how is it that valuable?
I know.
It's not. It's a house of cards. There's actually a really great article I read by Ed Zitron. It was talking about like the like NVIDIA, like how much money is going into NVIDIA is like propping up a tremendous part of the economy, right? And so like this AI marketing powerhouse is like kind of just generating out of thin air. Like
send me the link to that article. I want to read that.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
But Brian, I totally agree with the. I've been using the analogy of, yes, AI can tell me about a library that I didn't know about or help me to get to a thing faster, but the idea that I'm trying to implement, it can't figure that out. It's not going to, it'll say, oh, you can, if I can break it down and give it the chunks and say, oh, how do I do this piece? Then I'll say, oh, well, you can use requests to do that part. And you can use whatever to do the next part. But the thing that we're trying to like construct, that still has to come from a human. So Brewster's Millions. We were just talking about that last night. That's so weird. That's 2 Brewster's Millions references in 24 hours. That's so odd. I'm sorry. Okay. We are actually over time, but Damien, Shala, did you guys have any additional questions? I mean, this was fantastic, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah. No, very good. Very well laid out. No notes. So good job. Something that I've been telling people more and more, that I'm becoming more and more of a believer of myself as I work with AI tools. It's not so much like the jobs that we do and stuff like that. Sure, there could be some jobs where AI may replace them, but for the most part, I'm of the mindset it's not having to worry about AI taking your job or my job. It's about not being the person who uses AI efficiently to 4 times or 6 times or 10 times their production output. Those are the ones that are going to take the jobs because they're able to output quickly a lot and it works well. And as far as it working well, to everything you're saying, that goes back to like for me personally, having the knowledge that I have is what makes it like really work out well, because I can see when it's like putting in garbage code or not thinking through something. So
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's like the people that are going to be creatively using these tools. Like even I posted this on LinkedIn and I got a lot of interesting feedback. I built an N8N automation that is like a research bot. And you think about like trying to get like very quick kind of like insights into like the industry across like AI, like coding trends, whatever. And it will like use Perplexity API to like basically fetch news, and it's like on like the Sonar Pro High model, and then it just will like pull that. I send that to Llama with like the Llama 3, which will probably be Llama 4 in like a week, but like it's Llama 3 something, and it like aggregates it, and then I say like send to Slack, send to Discord, it goes to my teams, and now I can like stay up to date on like the news, and it's just very like tight. It's not like, oh, I need to sift through all these articles of stuff that like may or may not be important to me. I'm like, what's the news right now that I can get access to and need? And I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't even cost me anything a month. I think it's like maybe like 50 cents a month to like execute all of this stuff. And I'm just like, that's crazy to be able to have that, where like I have a news briefing agent that can do that. And that's like not like marketing speak either. That's just like helpful tools. So I started talking to like my clients and I was like, do you know that you can do this? And like some of them that are like techie are like, oh, for sure. But a lot of them haven't even like checked out those tools. And that's where I feel like, Charlotte,
and you did this
like,
on N8N?
Yeah. I mean, you could also build.
Did you write an article about that, or do you have a piece on that?
I wrote a LinkedIn post. Do we count that as a blog post? It was
that
that
counts. Sure it does. Sure it does.
No, you darn people younger than me.
I know.
Adrian,
I'm ashamed of myself. But okay, I'll do a blog. How about that? I will turn it into a blog post. It's gonna be an amazing blog post. But like, I have so many thoughts about it. Like, just the ability to make your own tools. I feel like that is a trend. And like, Charlotte, to your point of like someone that uses AI, like I didn't know how to do a lot of this stuff, but I'm talking to an AI and I'm like, I want to do a research agent, but I have this thing and I have N8N and I have access to these models. Like, what can I do? The thing though is that like the AI can tell you what to do, but you still have to execute it. So I feel like
that part,
you know, it's not enough to like do that. And I feel like even with like, oh, cool. Oh, we got a winner. Ooh.
Sorry. Yeah, I was doing the drawing and I didn't want to interrupt you. And then I clicked share, but I accidentally. Never mind.
And so you interrupted anyway.
Yeah. I'm a jerk.
Chris,
no, do the winner. I want to.
I'm a loser.
Who won?
So the winner of tonight's drawing is Neil Tropolis. Neil, congratulations. Please ping me on here or in LinkedIn or wherever. DM me and I will get you your code for your $50 of AWS compute credits so that you can go play with Bedrock or whatever you want to do with. So you do not get a chicken dinner, Neil. You get compute credits. Or
you can talk to an AI about a chicken dinner.
That's right.
Now once it starts preparing food somehow.
I'm actually kind of hungry now that he said chicken dinner.
Oh, I'm starving.
I've
been eating cold all day, okay?
I'm really hungry too.
Okay, well, we don't want Chris to get hangry, Shala, on the back end of this. So let's end this now. Everybody, thanks for coming by. Neil Tropolis, ping me. We'll get you hooked up. Brian, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yes,
and
thank you for having me.
We will see you all again next week. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.